right. So I'm going to start off just by giving y'all the identification to the all the victims in the incident from today. The first one was Mr. Mohammed Moini. That's spelled Mohammadmoeini. He was 51 years old from Gulfport. He was the owner of the hotel there in Biloxi. Also, that was deceased there was Miss Laura Lehman. Last name is Lehman. She was 61 years old, lived in Biloxi. She lived there at the hotel and was employed by the hotel. The victim was Mr. Chad Green. He's 55 years old, lived in Biloxi. He also lived there at the hotel and worked there as a maintenance person there. The other victim that was shot in Gulfport was transported to Memorial Hospital was Mr. William Waltman. He's 52 years old, from Diamond Head. He was transported to Memorial Hospital and was taken up to surgery where he was pronounced there when they weren't able to get his injuries under control. Mr. Jeremy Reynolds was the suspect that we spoke of that died there in Gulfport. He was 32 years old from Biloxi. And all 5 of the victims will be taken to the crime lab for an autopsy this week, either tomorrow or Friday.
I'm Captain Milton Houseman, the Public Information Officer of the Biloxi Police Department. At about 9:11 a.m. this morning, our officers were dispatched to the Broadwater Inn Express Motel at 2688 Beach Boulevard. We had 2 anonymous 911 callers reporting reports of gunshots. When our officers arrived on scene, they located the 3 individuals that Mr. Switzer spoke about earlier. At that time, all 3 of those folks were deceased. Officers attempted to make some type of first aid, but it was just not a thing that they could do at that time. Shortly after they arrived, during their investigation, they determined that the suspect in question had stolen one of the vehicles belonging to one of the victims and fled our city, going down Walmart Lane South and then westbound into the city of Gulfport. From there, the rest of the incident would be picked up by the Gulfport Police Department.
Madam Cooper, Gulfport Police Department. This morning, Biloxi notified us of their tragic events that occurred in their city, and they advised that the vehicle was possibly en route to our city. We responded to the reports of shots fired around 9:30 in the morning. Magnolia, when we got there, we found the vehicle that they had described to us as fleeing the scene of their homicides, and when we got there, we found that he had carjacked and shot the person who had the truck that he had stolen when we found him. He was then later located on 28th Street out near Canal Road. He fled from the vehicle and barricaded himself inside a grocery store, a small convenience store, for about 45 minutes. We tried to negotiate with him inside. He wouldn't respond to us. After about an hour and a half, we then deployed tear gas. Tear gas had no effect. We then made entry into the store and found him deceased in the rear office of the store. So, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. These things are not very pleasant to address, but shocking, without explanation, and we're appreciative of both of these departments and every person involved with public safety, I think, doing their job and doing their very best to address every aspect of this tragic day. And Billy.
You know, what started out as a typical beautiful day on our Mississippi Gulf Coast ended in tragedy as a senseless act of one individual. It's really an unspeakable tragedy. It's very random, and as painful as it is, it's not reflective of who we are. Right now, we're trying to do the assessment and understand the what, where, what, how, and why we know the when. But for the community, we have had a tragic loss. For the city of Gulfport, we've lost one of our co-workers. Mr. Waltman was one of a contract employee with our Public Works Department, a long-term employee in that capacity. providing a lot of leadership to our teams here. And so there's a great devastation within that department and quite frankly across our city employees. We're all pretty taken aback, and words don't really suffice for what we're dealing with. The bigger tragedy, though, is the devastation that this family is experiencing right now. And they need your thoughts and prayers. And we're going to do all that we can to try to be supportive there. But it's going to take a while as we ascertain the answers and see how we move forward to understanding how things unfolded today, and understand that we're going to get through this together. But it's hard, it's difficult, it's painful.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to take some questions. Please direct your questions to the right representative.
Yeah, I would like to ask the agencies involved, at the homicide scene, do we know what started these shootings? Was there an argument over money that others are reporting, or what do we know?
We don't know much there right now, ma'am. We're trying to find witnesses that may be able to provide better information. I'm sorry. But as of this press conference, we do not have a motive.